All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about something that's on every SSB candidate's mind, and maybe even keeps them up at night, the psychological tests. We're going to crack the code on what these tests are really looking for, and more importantly, how you can navigate them like a pro. And this really hits home, doesn't it? That dream of wearing the uniform is the whole reason you're here. But, standing right in the middle of that path is this series of tests, and let's be honest, the psych tests can feel like a huge hurdle.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the hurdle itself. Then we'll dive into the two major kinds of traps people fall into, what I call authenticity traps and pressure traps. And finally, we'll lay out a clear path for you to succeed. Okay, let's tackle this hurdle head on. Now, here's the interesting part. Getting through this isn't about finding some secret answer key. Nope. It's actually more about knowing what not to do. Understanding the common pitfalls that trip up even the sharpest candidates. In fact, when you talk to experienced assessors, it really boils down to just five common mistakes. And the best part? They are completely avoidable. We're going to walk through every single one so you know exactly what to watch out for. First up are the authenticity traps. This is a whole category of mistakes that all come from one simple but critical error, trying way too hard to be the person you think the assessors want to see instead of just being yourself. Mistake number one, playing the movie superhero. You see this in the TAT or SRT all the time, a story about single-handedly fighting off 20 bad guys or saving a whole village with no help. The reality is, they're not looking for a film hero. They're looking for practical, grounded leaders who use their brain and work with a team to solve real problems. And that leads us straight to the next big mistake, using copied answers from coaching notes. So many candidates think they've struck gold by memorizing these perfect responses. But here's the thing you have to understand. The psychologists are trained professionals. They can spot a coached, memorized answer from a mile away. Your own genuine, natural response is 1,000 times more powerful. So, what's the main takeaway here? Stop trying to guess what the psychologist wants. There is no magic right answer. What they're really evaluating is your thought process. How do you approach a situation? Are you naturally positive? Do you take responsibility? Trying to fake that stuff just creates a messy, inconsistent picture that's super easy to spot. All right, next up, we've got the pressure traps. This is all about what happens when that clock is ticking down and your heart starts pounding. Because, being authentic is one thing, but performing when you're under the gun, that's a whole different ballgame. Poor time management is a classic pressure trap, especially in the word association and situation reaction tests. What happens is you'll overthink one answer and suddenly you've left a whole bunch of them blank. The key isn't to rush, it's to find a steady, consistent rhythm. And how do you do that? You practice in a timed setting, you trust your gut, and you write down that first meaningful thought that pops into your head. And the final big mistake. This one is less about the clock and more about a deeper pressure, the pressure of really knowing who you are. This comes out loud and clear in the self-description test. If you haven't put in the work to understand your own strengths and weaknesses, it shows. A leader has to be self-aware. So seriously, go talk to people who know you best, be brutally honest with yourself, and paint a balanced, constructive picture. This quote just says it all perfectly. You can't fool the test. All these mistakes we've talked about, they're basically attempts to game the system. But the whole thing is designed to see right through that. The goal isn't to hide who you are. It's to reveal the absolute best version of your true self. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question of all. If you can't use tricks, if you can't use scripts, then how in the world do you actually prepare? How do you practice in a way that builds the right habits, the kind of habits that let your true potential shine through? And that brings us to our final section, your path to success. We've talked about all the traps and pitfalls. Now, let's talk about the solution. Let's talk about the proactive steps you can take to build the right skills and the right mindset. Look, the answer isn't some secret trick or a hidden book of answers. The real solution is practice. But not just any practice, professional, realistic practice. It's about building that mental muscle memory, those authentic habits, so that when you're under pressure, your best self just shows up automatically. To get that kind of practice, you need the right environment. A platform like ThinkFit, for instance, was literally designed to solve these exact problems. It lets you practice all the key tests, TAT, WAT, SRT, and self-description in a real-timed environment. And because it was developed by former SSB psychologists, the entire approach is about helping you build the right habits from the ground up. And just take a look at the structure here. This isn't just some random quiz. It's a professional grade simulation. See that? 15 seconds a word for WAT, 30 minutes for 60 different scenarios in SRT. This replicates the exact pressure, the exact format you're going to face on test day. This is how you train your mind to perform naturally. And it's not some new idea. It's a method trusted by over 5,000 other aspirants. This isn't about finding a sneaky loophole. It's about joining a community of serious candidates who get it, that genuine, hard-nosed preparation is the only way to go. So let's bring this all home. The big mindset shift you need to make is this. Your goal is not to figure out how to please the psychologist. Your real goal is to do the work, to understand yourself, and to practice authentically so you can become and present the absolute best version of yourself. That right there is the key to cracking this code. It's not about pretending to be someone else. It's about having the confidence and the preparation to show them who you really are. So the only question left is, are you ready to do what it takes to show them your true potential?